If the device allows me to draw energy from the magical plane, I say, then could it be possible for me to feed the device energy by myself instead of relying on what the stat booster extracts from other mages from me? I know for a fact that there are certain tools which can help mages power up devices with magical energy. I've seen them used before. Feeding energy directly into the device is very inefficient and wasteful, Meredith says. If the magical energy is not properly extracted from the aura of other mages, then it would be expended by the device far too fast to be of any real use to you in the long term. You should already know this since you told me that you have used the emergency mode in the past. Come to think of it, I never did ask you how you exactly managed to activate this mode before. I can think of very few situations in which the emergency mode would reactivate by itself, and none of them seem very likely. Did you perhaps find some way to activate it manually? It's probably better that if we don't tell her. I got the option on the screen while I was fighting some skeleton still waters. The first time I used it, Aiden activated his energy into the device to activate it. Yeah, probably shouldn't say that. That would probably make her think that we think of it like the little possibility would be gone. I'm not sure if I should or not actually, but whatever. We'll just not tell her for now. Should we not tell her? Then it will make her suspicious if she finds out later that we are actually lying to her. And this might actually give away too much information that Aiden can do that. So let's. I got the option on the screen while I was fighting some skeleton still waters. I got the option on the screen while I was fighting some skeleton still waters. Oh, I think I understand now, Meredith says. Their high amount of energy must have been too much for their auras to fully absorb, so it leaked out, which triggered the emergency mode prompt. Is that what happened? Yes, exactly, I say. Do you have any idea if there are other ways in which we could activate this emergency mode on command? Kate says, like for example, if we all try to transfer our magical energy into the device at the same time, could that perhaps trigger it? You need ridiculous amounts of energy to be transferred very fast into the device to even have a slight chance of activating this mode, Meredith says. Realistically speaking, still waters are the only kind of mages who would possess such high quantities of energy. But as far as I know, Melindra does not have full control over her powers, so she would never be able to do something as complex as transferring her energy willingly into the device. If the rest of you were to try activating the device with your levels of energy, you'd likely only be wasting your time. I see. Kate says, Diane, you've been very quiet ever since you came back from the surface, Meredith tells Diane. Wait, didn't Diane get told everything by Kate? So, would that mean that she knows we are lying? Diane, you've been very quiet ever since you came back from the surface, Meredith tells Diane, looking genuinely concerned. Is anything wrong? No, Lady Meredith, Diane says, looking a little flustered. It's just that I knew how important this meeting was to you. I didn't want to interrupt. There's no need for you to worry about that, Meredith says. You can say whatever's on your mind. You can say whatever's on your mind. You know that I've always valued your opinion. Thank you, Lady Meredith, Diane says. Well, make sure to speak my mind whenever I have something important to add. Continue. Very well, Meredith says. At any rate, I think our discussion here is done for the moment. We should probably go looking for Darren and the rest of the group. Let's hope they didn't get into any trouble. They probably did. We all do as Meredith said and get up from our seat as she leads us out of the meeting room, back into the corridor filled with blue crystals. As we are once again passing by the secret door behind which the Magium node can be found, an idea suddenly pops into my head, and without thinking, I ask Meredith a question. Hey, Meredith, there's something that I've been wondering, I say, as we are now moving away from the Magium node. You said that you're willing to give us access to the Magium node, but what does that mean exactly? How are we supposed to interact with it? There are certain tools that our people have developed over the years which makes it possible to extract information from the node. Oh, that's interesting, because information otherwise would just disappear. It is a very lengthy process, but also a very rewarding one. The Magium contains knowledge for beyond what you could ever imagine. This one that I'm carrying, for example, would not have been built without information that I've personally managed to extract from the Magium node. Many of our other devices were also made in the same way. So the only method for us to access the Magium information contained in the Magium is to use your tools, then Kate says. There is no other way. There are other ways, of course, but I wouldn't recommend them. Meredith says, you could, for example, directly link your aura directly to the node in order to enter the Magium realm. This would grant you a far more direct way to extract the knowledge that you want, but it would also be much more risky. One small mistake and you could get lost in the Magium realm forever, with no way to get back to our world. Meanwhile, from our point of view, you would be stuck in a trance with yellow glowing eyes for the rest of your life until you finally die of thirst or starvation. Linking your aura directly to the Magium, huh? I'm pretty sure that this is the technique which Araka used when we went to the Magium's realm to watch everyone's trial during the God of Time's ritual. I wonder if I could learn how to do that in the future. But if you were to touch the node for a longer period of time, Kate asked, do you know what would happen then? Unfortunately, I do, Meredith says in a sad tone of voice. Every year or so, we get at least one Lasetti who managed to sneak past the security and find his way to the Magium node just so he could try to touch it. Sadly, almost every single one of them has gone completely insane after they touch the node. Most of them refuse to talk, they refuse to eat or drink, just want to stay there and stare at the node, and they react very violently if you try to take them away from it. We found no way to bring them back to their senses. They usually end up dying from thirst a few days afterwards. You're telling me that you knew how dangerous that Nodium node was, and you left us alone with it without so much as a warning? Kate asked, perplexed. I didn't think that was a warning would be necessary, Meredith says. The Seti are by their nature being drawn to the Magium node, which is why we need to keep them as far... What? The Seti are by nature being drawn to the Magium node, which is why we need to keep them as far away from it as possible. But none of the other races have ever manifested any sort of attraction to these nodes, not even half Laseti. Why would you ever try to touch such a dangerous looking thing if you weren't compelled to do so by your very nature? Maybe you should ask Barry that question, Kate says. He already touched the node once before we came to your meeting room. Oh, I didn't think Kate would give out this information. He touched the node? Meredith says in a panicked tone of voice. But how is he still here? Why has he not gone mad? I don't understand. I only touched it for a brief moment, I say. I immediately realized that the information I received was too much. Was too much for my brain to handle, so I removed my hand as fast as I could to avoid becoming insane. You managed to resist the temptation of infinite knowledge and to make the conscious decision of removing your hand from the node in just 1 second, Meredith asked, looking even more confused than before. But if you were the type of person to be capable of such an incredible amount of self-control, why would you do something as stupid as touching the node in the first place? Oh, that's a conundrum, isn't it? I don't understand. I feel like the more I learn about you, the less I actually know. There is no need to think about it too much, Kate says. This is how Barry has always been. From what I've seen of him so far, from what I've heard of his past, he likes to constantly throw himself into a situation where a mere split-second decision will lead to his death or worse. Statistically speaking, it would be impossible for him to have survived for so long, relying only on luck. So the only logical conclusion I can draw that he has developed some sort of superhuman ability to almost always make the right decision in conditions of extreme stress. I say almost always because there have also been situations where these decisions of his didn't exactly work out. So in the end, he had to be saved by dumb luck. I see, Meredith says. So, do any of you have any idea which way your friends might have gone? Diane asks us. Ceridian walls are making it pretty much impossible for us to detect their auras. If I'm not mistaken, Kate says, we already went past the secret tunnel entrance that we used to get here. I don't think Hardrick could have opened it without smashing through the wall. That means that he must have kept going down this corridor. Yes, I think so as well, Meredith says. Only 2 ways out of this area aside from the secret tunnel, but the problem is that one of those routes leads straight into Hexol faction territory. Maybe we should check that tunnel first just to be safe. Isn't the entrance to that corridor clearly marked as leading to Hexol faction area in the common language? Diane says. Surely the dwarf must have read that and decided to take the other path, right? I mean, if it's marked, yeah, I mean, why would he take this path? Like, if it was Darren, I could kind of understand, because Darren is like, when he gets like fuming, which he rarely does, but when he gets fuming, he seems to slightly get into a very specific stance, like a trance or something. Like, it's not like a trance, but it's like he's out of his mind, or like inside his mind, more accurate to say. I suppose. I don't think we need to check on him. Yes, it's marked like you said, and he probably avoided that tunnel. Actually might have even more reason to go there if it's marked. Actually, I don't think he seeks out trouble like that. I mean, he wouldn't probably, like, he knows the Laseti are not physically strong, so he probably didn't go there to like challenge anyone. Yeah, if it's marked like you say, then he probably avoided that tunnel. Hearing check successful, level 2. Yeah, if it's marked like you say, then he probably avoided that tunnel. Very well, Meredith says, in that case, we'll check the other tunnel first, but I sure hope that he didn't get into a fight with anyone while we were still in the meeting room. Don't worry, I say, it's Hardrick we're talking about. Even if he were to meet someone from the Hexol faction, he'd likely just offer them some dwarven ale and they'd both be friends by now.